Hello and welcome to the Point Blank Voices podcast. Today we're going to be talking about industry insights and career paths. I'm Noah Williams and we have an esteemed alumni, Sarah Bow, DJ and radio presenter. Hi Sarah.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me in. This is very cool to be back.
Yeah, it's very
campus.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I've never been in the studios. We're looking good, ready to go.
We are.
And so can we start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the industry and started DJing?
Yes. Gosh, I'm going way back now. So I've been DJing for about 5 years and I've been full-time from the very beginning. I was just a massive risk taker, kind of still am. So I used to work at Sony Music. That's kind of how I started in the music industry. So I was an intern at Sony Music and I absolutely loved it. But I wanted to be more involved in the creative side because I worked in business development there. So I worked there for 2 years and then I managed to get a job with an artist called McWeeny. He's like Grammy nominated artist, producer. He's phenomenal. So I worked on his management team. But I was still having that urge and that itch to be a performer myself and to share my art and my love for music in more of a creative way. So I did what you probably should never do. I quit my job and I was like, I'm going to do radio and I'm going to be a DJ. So that's exactly what I did. And I just haven't looked back since.
That's brilliant. And so when you came to Point Blank, was it radio you were studying?
Yeah, I was radio production. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So had you worked in radio at all when you started the course?
Yeah, I'd done bits and bobs. So I'm not sure if you ever heard of a radio station called Radar Radio. So they're not a radio station anymore, but back in 2016, it was when I was still at Sony actually, I was helping them out doing radio production. So I was doing a radio producer role for a girl called Camilla Rose, and she's now drive time on Capital Extra. So I was working with her and I was interviewing artists, R&B artists as well. So I was kind of had my toes dipped into it. So I had an idea of what like radio was, and that's where I really like fell in love with it. So that's kind of where the itch started. And then I obviously did Point Blank.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And so in terms of the time you spent at Point Blank, is there what actually has stuck with you and really helped you in the industry, do you think, from the course?
So much. I think it's the network for me, which is the big one. And I think network, even for what I do now as a DJ, has been so fundamental in like any of my success. And I still keep in touch with loads of the students and also the lecturers here at Point Blank. And you just never know what doors will open from conversations that you have. And like just seeing everyone again, seeing their successes and crossing over and working together in different capacities has been like really helpful for me so far. So yeah, I still speak to like Lily, she's at BBC Countries, I believe, and like other people on the course. So like, yeah, it's just really good networking. Cool.
Yeah, I'm actually going to touch a bit on networking later, so we'll save the more questions from that. But I wanted to ask you, in what ways did Point Blank kind of support you with your ideas and ambitions that you brought to the course? What kind of support was there?
For support for me, it was just kind of making sense of what I wanted to do, because I've always had this dream and drive of working in radio, but I couldn't figure out a way to actually achieve it and actually how to do it. So just working through all the different modules and like learning the behind the scenes of radio and how it actually worked, like logistically, took away that myth of, you hear people on the radio and you're like, how do they do that? How do they come up with all the things that they need to talk about? Or like, how do they come up with the music for the shows? And learning about the structure of radio was really, really helpful, because then you can do it independently. And now I can create a radio show completely on my own without needing external help, because I know how it works.
Definitely. That's what I've found from the course. That it's like the very hands-on kind of vocational nature of just doing everything you would be doing. It's not really theoretical at all. Like, for example, if you're doing a master's, there might be so much more theory based, but everything we've done here, like I think every single week has been something that can be practically applied. So
no, absolutely. And also learning about having audition was something that I didn't know much about. So actually be able to produce your own show is so handy, because then I don't have to call up anyone else in order to do any of the back stuff for me. I know the skills to do that now, so it's super helpful.
Definitely, yeah. From one of the first weeks we were using Audition, and then I pre-recorded a show for my show in back home in Brighton. Like I sent it off and had already used Audition for the first time. So that's super handy.
There we go.
And yeah, I'm sure you're still using Audition now. So it's like, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I surprisingly remember. So you did a good job.
Yeah. Well,
to all my lecturers.
Great. And did your idea of what you wanted to get out of the course change over time, or did something stand out, or was something inspirational in the change, or was it quite consistent throughout the whole time?
It was consistent for me. I think I just wanted to learn how it all worked behind the scenes, and like I said, in order to figure out like how I can actually go forward with it. So for me, presenting, because there are two things with the course, right? You can either go to be a producer, or you can present, or you can do both, of course. But for me, the goal was always to be more on the presenter side of things, and I can talk, as you can see. I don't really shut up. That's the problem with me sometimes. And so working at Point Blank was really good because it helped me think, okay, what do I actually want to niche down in? What lane do I want to go in? Because I think there's so many different avenues of radio, which is amazing, but it helped me figure out the actual avenue I wanted to go down. You know, because that was one of my challenges. I think I was like, I can go down any way because I'm passionate about a lot.
Narrowing it down.
Yeah,
when you
exactly.
Came to the course. So you had kind of a wide ambition, and then as you went, you figured it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so did you come to the course wanting to present and produce, or were you pretty sure that you? I was
always on the presenter side of things, but I'm open to. No, it's all good. But I have done the producer role before, but I realised I love. For me, communication and chatting to people, interviewing, I just love it. So it just kind of cemented that for me. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And what opportunities did Point Blank give you to actually showcase your work as well? So,
actually two really big things for me. So Point Blank have a conference that they put on at Fabric. And obviously, as a DJ, I've spent many nights in there. But it was lovely to see in the daytime. So I hosted one of the panels, which was really cool. In fact, I hosted two panels, which was amazing because I really got to showcase my presenter skills and moderate a conversation about music industry. And the second opportunity that Point Blank involved me with was me interviewing Karen Harding, an amazing singer-songwriter. And I interviewed her, and it was like a live podcast with an audience. So that was really cool.
With an audience, basically.
Yeah. It's good to know that I'm with another superstar.
That's the next step.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the next step. Okay, so kind of moving on to once you finish the course, what opened up for you straight away after finishing the course at Point Blank?
What opened up for me? I just had a passion and a fire to really go out and make stuff happen. So after the course, I started presenting on Select Radio. So I did drive time on a Monday, which was super cool. I did that for 8 weeks, and it just encouraged me to get back into the studio. You just got to really hit the ground running with it, because it's just like with anything. Once you learn the skills of it, if you don't, it's like a muscle. You need to keep training that muscle in order to gain confidence and to really back yourself. And then I also did a lot of hosting for different live podcast things. I've done some stuff with Kiss Fresh. So it's just put me in that position to be I have the confidence in order to go out and do what I know that I want to do.
Yeah. And were you doing any of those things during the course, or was it all the second you finished the course?
It was after. That was after.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sure that'll give people hope, because there's definitely on our course there's definitely a mixture of how much people are doing, or some people are doing a lot more than others, but I think it's kind of great to know that once you finish, you can just go out there and have the motivation to do exactly what you want to do. Yeah,
for sure. I think also you've really got to back yourself. You've got to have a goal. We'll probably get into this in a bit, but you need to have a goal, and you need to look at that goal every day and just work, even if it's a tiny step towards that, whatever you want to get out of the course. Just got to keep reminding yourself, and things will start to align.
Yeah.
You have to be active. You need to be proactive. If you want something, you really need to go after it, for sure.
That's definitely some great advice for people listening and watching. And so one thing I think people will be worrying about or thinking about considering doing the course at Point Blank is that during and when you finish, you might have no real income from the industry, you might not have paid work in the industry.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate that kind of time before you really started getting
paid? Well, Noah, I actually did the course during COVID, so there was no hope for me at all. No. So with that, I think you need to also be realistic and smart with your decisions. So if you need to intern or do a bit of like volunteering whilst you still have another job, like I think we need to like recognize that might have to happen. Because I was DJing, I still had an income, so I had another job, if that makes sense. So I already was able to sustain myself, but I just think the best thing you can do is back yourself, and there are jobs, there are opportunities, and it's just like if you start any new industry, you're always going to feel that way, but you need to have a mindset of abundance and that you have the skill set and you deserve to get paid and you deserve to make a living out of this.
Yeah, that's going back to your last point then. It's really about the self-belief and
for sure.
Just going and doing it and not thinking, oh, well, that's not the perfect role. Because I've definitely been guilty before of thinking I need to have it all sorted in one big perfect job. But actually in this industry, I'm sure you found out it's about diversifying often, is it?
Oh, for sure. And like, I think also as well, it was just acknowledging and accepting that it's going to be up and down. It's always going to be up and down. But the moments that it's down, it's like everything is still okay because things will turn around again. It's like just knowing that like life comes in waves in every aspect in entertainment especially. You just got to really know that something else is going to be coming your way, because otherwise you'll stop and you'll just be defeated. And it's not why like everyone's doing the course, because they want to achieve something out of this. Sure. But in entertainment, it's definitely up and down. But with like lows, there are amazing highs.
Yeah. So thinking about the ups and downs, I think one thing in London is there is something that I've encountered is the kind of grind set mentality that is like very up and down.
Sure.
And also just the examples that are kind of set around you can be slightly unrealistic. So I was just wondering how you kind of combat that or deal with that. Like you say ups and downs, how do you deal with the downs or feeling overworked?
So because I also now at the moment I do a lot of late nights. So that's one of the downs of like my career and what I do, and like is very with radio. I'm sure you can be doing overnight stuff as well. But for my downs, I say I'm very much into wellness now. So at the time where I started to DJ, I also went away for a month to do my yoga teacher training. I'm not a yoga teacher. That's just like, I just need to put my hands up to that. No one come to me trained for yoga. I am trained, but I did it for more of a personal development namaste journey.
Okay.
And thank God I did, because as I said, it's very up and down in the industry. And it's taught me resilience. It's taught me self-belief, and it's taught me how to do an ice bath, to be honest with you.
Very handy.
And very handy. And those ice baths will really set your head straight in times where you're like, nothing is working. I'm not getting any like right jobs for myself. And I take myself away for a morning. Like every Monday now, I have a wellness Monday. It's my rule. So every Monday morning, I have to go to the gym to do all these different things to get my mindset ready for the week. Because if I do that, no matter what's thrown at me, no matter what challenges are, I've got through like the pain of the ice bath, the intense, like all those type of things, and it really builds up resilience.
Yeah.
So I'd say looking after your health, which sounds so cliche and so boring, but it really helps.
Not at all. I think it's cliche because it's how important it is. So
yeah.
And I think sometimes people hear, like you say, health and well-being, and they shut down because they think, oh, cliche.
Yeah, and they just think, oh, whatever, shut up. But I'm like, no, if you look after your mindset and your physical body, I promise everything else will, like, the hard knocks will not feel as hard.
Yeah.
They really won't.
Yeah, I think I was definitely surrounded by people, or I've seen friends that could really benefit from that mentality. And I think people maybe don't take it seriously enough. Because you mentioned ice bath and yoga. Is there anything, what do you do in your routine from day to day?
I would say it varies, but it doesn't really. Like I generally wake up in the morning and over a coffee, I have a sad lamp. spoke to you about this before. I am that person. Yes, I have like this morning routine ritual thing, which takes me some time. But I'll have my coffee, sit with that, and then I'll journal out. So I just kind of like do some affirmations or just set my intention for the day. And honestly, those small things make me just in and immediately like feeling like, right, today's gonna be super productive. And then I will get energy out through the gym. I'll do an ice bath, I'll do a sauna, and it just sets me so straight for the day. Like it's about what I love about ice baths. And I know we're not here to talk about like wellness stuff, and this is definitely about music, but what it's taught me, if anyone's into it, is in moments of discomfort and in moments where you think like the world is going down and you're not happy, the thing about an ice bath is like they teach you to feel safe and resilient in that moment. So even though you're in discomfort, your mind, your body is like, but I'm actually safe and I'm actually good. So no matter if you're having a down moment in the industry or whatever, it's like you're teaching yourself that those moments are still safe and you're still okay. Yeah. That's like the biggest learning I've had from doing the ice bath.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant. I think I know you said it's not about music and whatever, but it does seem to be something really important, I think, to touch on.
Yeah.
And to talk about like how to do it day to day, because, you know, you said you went to do yoga teacher training. Obviously not everyone can do that, but it's like, what can you put into your routine? So it's great. And there's so many like ice baths and saunas and things you can go to these days. It's like unlimited options. And
I'm gonna when I next see you, I want to hear that you've done one.
Yeah. What, sauna?
An ice bath. Obviously.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. I'm holding you to this, Noah.
We'll see about that. Well, that moves us swiftly on to do you have any regrets? Mainly from, well, actually, I'll leave that open. In your career.
Do you know what's funny? God, I'm such a cliche. My only regret, honestly, is not taking my mindset more seriously. And like, even though I've taken a lot of risks, like I've quit jobs to do DJing full time, and I've the way that I've met people is by literally like putting myself out on a whim and literally going up to the most random person who I know works in radio and just like being like, I love your show, can I come in? Like those moments. But I think I would have got further faster if I took my mindset and my self-belief more seriously. And I wish I did that like 5 years ago.
Well, that really ties into what you were saying before. That's why it's so important.
Yeah, seriously. Like, again, it's such a cliche thing to say, but you've got to look after your mindset. Like what you think will create the reality that you live in.
Sure.
So you probably think he's just like, what are you talking about, Sarah? But I
really,
not at all.
I really could talk to you about that all day. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're definitely on the same page, but we're not here just to talk about that. Although, yeah. Anyway, well, that does take us on actually to talking a bit more about networking.
Sure.
And you've mentioned, for example, going up to someone, or you know, what is an example of how? Okay, let's think how to phrase this. What kind of skills like do you need to be able to be good at networking, and did Point Blank help you with some of those, or is it something you've learned off your own back?
So I would say that prior to Point Blank, I was actively networking in the industry, because to even get into music, you have to. It's really about your network. It's not, and I didn't know anyone when I first moved into the music industry. I didn't know at all apart from like one friend. So, I mean, an example of it is if you see someone that you admire and you think they're brilliant, they could be a radio presenter, a radio producer, or you hear that they work for Radio 1, don't be afraid to go up to them and just be like, hey, I want to get into this. I really like what you do. Is there any chance I can come in and shadow you? Because one bit of advice that I've got from who's now a really, really good friend of mine, his name's Twin B, Alec Boating, but he's now president of Def Jam Records. But he used to be the breakfast host on One Extra with Yasmin Evans, like 5-6 years ago. No, maybe longer, 10 years ago. Anyway, I remember I was at an Adidas launch event, and this is before I got into radio properly, like started dabbling in it. But I had like this dream of being a radio, and I spotted him, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, that's Twin V. And I don't know what it was. I might have had a bit of liquid confidence at the time, gotta be honest. But I just went over to him and I was like, hey, I really like your radio show. I think you know my friend Jess, who I lived with at the time, which was a coincidence. And I was like, I love music. I don't work in music yet, but I'd love to come and shadow you one time. And like, he was so nice. He was like, okay, amazing. He brought me into One Extra twice, just go sit in on his show. And then we became like really, really good mates. And then, so he's a really good friend of mine still now. And he said to me, one time we were out for food, and this girl came over to him and she was like, I'd overheard you guys talking. I hear you work in music, da da da. And she was like, I'd love to intern at your label. And he turned around and he was just like, I love that. I love it when people come up to me and they show passion and drive that they really want it. Because it was like, he said he has so many people that comes up to him and kind of like, I kind of want to get into it, but I'm not sure. He's like, I want to see determination, I want to see drive, and I'll help you. So don't be afraid to go up to people. And Sarah Story is another example. She's Radio 1 Dance. I remember I saw her playing at a sober rave once, and I was like, who is she? I'm obsessed. I DM'd her, and then she met up with me for coffee and tea, and again, she's become a good mate, and she's flying. So just don't be afraid to reach out to people. Just be authentically yourself, be kind, and that's another thing that Alec would say to me was like, not enough people come up to me and ask me for help. People just assume that you're like this person that's really far in the distance, but actually, like, we're all human and we all want to help each other and we all want to build a community. So yeah, I'd say just go for it. Just don't be afraid, because 9 times out of 10 people say yes.
Okay, that's really good advice. And I think it's something that people often think they need to find the perfect job, like as you spoke before, or like make the contacts beforehand, but actually just be in a split second that you've seen that person and then you have connections for life.
And like, it also, we have like, Instagram is good and it's bad, but really utilize it. Follow the people that you admire, and hit them up. Use that as a way to connect to people and to network. I think it's a really good tool. Yeah,
that's really good to hear. It can be that easy. It's just about doing it. Going back to something else you mentioned, you said a bit of liquid confidence and sober rave. I was going to ask about how you navigate the kind of, you know, like alcohol and drug use like in the industry, because maybe it's a bit of a dark, I was going to say dark horse, that's not right. Maybe elephant in the room, perhaps, because it's so present, and especially if you're a DJ.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen from enough events that, you know, the DJs aren't always super professional, like in terms of their usage.
Yeah, no,
and it is a big thing. So I was kind of wondering, like, since you're so big on health and well-being, like how you would say any advice to navigate that kind of world.
Yeah, I think I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect person. Like, obviously, I've grown up a lot throughout the years. But I think for me, it's like what your priorities are, like what your actual goal is at the end of the day. Like, are you there just to have a party and like mess around with some mates and get behind the decks? Or are you actually looking to make something of yourself, be an inspiration to, you know, younger, aspiring female DJs? Like, what's your goal? And also about sustainability and longevity within yourself. It looks super cool to be like taking drugs and drinking or whatever, but really and truly, it's like you want to be present with your audience. So for me, I buzz off like that feeling that I have. I'd hate to wake up the next day and not remember something that I've done, you know? So for me, it was just acknowledging within myself what actually lights me up more than anything. Like, don't get me wrong, I do definitely still have a drink or whatever, but I've just, because I've been doing so much wellness stuff, I've just managed to find boundaries. But, you know, it's hit and miss and no one's perfect. But yeah, for me, it's about what am I actually trying to achieve here, and what am I trying to do is kind of...
Yeah, so it comes down to prioritizing again, basically. Yeah. It's as simple as that. And setting the goals, setting the boundaries, and just following that. Yeah,
and also it's... You don't want to have that reputation of being a mess head or anything when you go to like events, you know. No. It's nice to... It's a really good way of definitely not networking, but like building connections with other DJs. You'll have a shot or whatever, but it's about picking and choosing when you want to do that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you spoke about friends and kind of having people around you. So networking's one thing, but in an industry that I feel like sometimes people can feel a bit lonely. How important do you think community is, and how kind of do you maintain and build a community around you?
I think community is really, really important, because when I'm a freelancer essentially, and I can, if I chose to, I could be at home like Monday to Friday if I'm not gigging, and be at home, and it can be like very lonely and very isolating. And I just think it's really important to get out to co-working spaces, chat to other DJs, presenters. If you're having a moment where you're feeling nothing's working out for me, I'm not getting any jobs, or I'm feeling a bit lost, the best thing you can do is pick up the phone and chat to someone and reach out. And I have people that come to me when they're feeling that way, and I will have people that I go to when I'm feeling that way. And it's just having that like support system to know that you have people you can talk to. And also just to be around like a social space to lift up your mood, I think is super, super key. So
you mean like as in opposed to working from home, like getting out to a cafe or something like that?
I think it's really important to get out of the house as much as you can, because even though in the industries of radio and DJing or whatever, they're quite, you're giving out a lot of energy, right? So it's really important. You need to fill up your cup too, and however you do that is important. But I would say for me personally, I need to be in social environments as well to feel part of something instead of being at home. Otherwise I'm less productive. Like, it's good to be around other people to build you up.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you have any kind of, I was going to rephrase from failures to have you got anything that you've learned from, or like any big lessons from a moment where something didn't quite go to plan?
Yes.
It sounds like a bit of a job interview question.
My
now,
life.
To be fair, put you on the spot.
Something that didn't go to plan. I'm very much like a person where I'm a massive yes person. So I say that probably because I don't know how to explain this. It's more of like a general thing I've noticed about myself is I will say, for example, I did select radio for 6 weeks, I think, or 8 weeks, which is really good. But I say yes to things, and then I realise like things don't quite align, and to me that feels like a failure, when actually it's just I'm experimenting, and I'm just figuring out like what actually I want to be doing and what feels right, because I've got so many different factors which will mean I continue to do something. So like those type of things is I don't know if they're failures. I don't really know how to answer that question. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I've
know.
Definitely been asked that question before.
Failures.
And you want to make often you want to make something that you've done well sound like, or just something you've learned from. It doesn't have to be a failure. Anything
about, I think the only failure that I would say in my mind is I can't think of like exact examples, but not being consistent.
Yeah. Like
being inconsistent with achieving something is has been failure for me, because I think if you aren't consistent with yourself, then you're not actually going to get what you want. So yeah, I just think consistency is like the biggest lesson that I've learned over the last few years, and the importance of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is really helpful. That's really helpful. And yeah, so because that leads me on to something that you said before about like how important do you feel like it is to kind of experiment, like you know, while we're studying at Point Blank, like do you think it's the time to try a lot of different things, and how important do you feel that is?
Yeah, I mean, I have tried so many different things, different types of events, brands, like collaborating with friends on things. And honestly, the weirdest and best things have come out of these things. And so it's the best way to do it. So I remember I was playing for a really good friend of mine. She's called Steph Sword-Williams, and she runs this brand called F Being Humble. It's a swear word at the beginning, so I'll let you figure that one out. Anyway, so it's a self-promotion brand. She's amazing. And I remember DJing once for her brand, and this girl randomly came over to me, and she was like, oh, I run this festival. I'm head of music for Goodwood Festival, whatever. And and that's actually from where I grew up, which is really weird. I'm in London. This festival's in Chichester in Sussex. And she was randomly at this event, and now I'm their resident DJ, and I'm doing it for my 6th year this year. And it was all from me playing R&B, which I don't play at that festival. So it's just like, from me saying yes to working at Steph's event, one of the biggest jobs that I do annually has come from it. So, and it was just like, I was like, sure, I'll play. Like, absolutely, I want to be involved. I want to support your event. And then this has come from it. So you just don't know what doors will open. So just whatever you're doing, just do it because you love it, and because you're enjoying it, stuff will come back in good ways.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And in terms of like you've mentioned about doing something for 6 years, how has your kind of career path looked if you took a step back? Like, what kind of journey have you taken, and how is it evolving?
I mean, so maybe it's 5 years I've been playing, because actually I've only been DJ for 5 years. I'm going to be honest with you, Noah.
Please.
As most people are when you first start a skill, you can't really do it. So yeah. I've definitely grown confident. So my DJing has definitely got a lot better. Again, that was a yes moment for me, because to be honest, that was like one of the first big gigs I ever did, and I was so petrified of DJing for 4 hours for 5 days in a row, and I really had no experience. Didn't tell them at the time though. This is another thing. So how I got my first ever gig, and this is not okay, but I did this. So I didn't know how to DJ, right? But I knew I wanted to do it. So I messaged this brand. They're called Love at First Vibe. And I remember I was away at the time, and I was messaging them being like, hey, I love your event. I'm a really sick DJ. You need me on your lineup. So hit me up. Who was I? Anyway, 2 weeks later, I get a text from them being like, yeah, cool. So do you want to play on the 1st of February? And I was like,
there you go.
I was like,
ask, don't get.
Right. But I had never picked up the decks before. I didn't know how to DJ at all. And I was like, oh, but I was like, I've got to lean into this. Yeah, totally. Right. That's all it is. It's just like a cue and a button. Right. That's all it is. I was like, oh my God, now I'm doing this in front of...
How did it go?
Yeah, do you know what? To be fair, it went all right, but I had 2 weeks to learn how to DJ, and it was R&B music. I did turn off the music at the end accidentally, because I didn't know how. The best do that. I didn't know how to eject the USB. Basic stuff.
That's fine.
Didn't know how to do it. Took out the one that was playing the tune. But
that's a power move.
Do you know what I mean? I left with a bang, and everyone thought it was a cappella. Everyone thought they were just trying to sing. So yeah, so that was good. Everyone was singing thong song to me at the time, so that was fun. But yeah, that again was just me being really out there. And then the first time I ever played house music, if the guy that booked me for this, I'm really sorry. I'd never played house music before, but I got a residency. And I literally went to him and I was like, I'm the best house music DJ in London. You need to book me. Not only did he book me, he was just like, oh my God, you're so good. I need to give you more money than everyone else. So
sorry, when you played your first gig, even though you weren't really into house music, he thought you were amazing.
No, I told him I was amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he just said, yeah, great, you're amazing.
Yeah, so basically I was playing exclusively R&B music, but because I was like, I need to earn money from DJing, and house music is where you really earn money in the industry. So, and I was like, I need to get a house music residency. So I went up to the guy and I was like, I'm the best. I had never played house music by this point. And then I got a higher fee than everyone else.
Wow.
Because
they took your word for it.
He took my word for it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's advice everyone can follow, but I think it's definitely inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back, I just think, Sarah, you're such an idiot. But it worked.
The world would be a crazy place if everyone was doing that.
Yeah, but I tell you what though, it was stressful when I was on job. I was on job. Okay. But yeah.
No.
It's a good way to learn.
I'm not knocking it at all. So I'm assuming that's not how you get all your work now.
No. Luckily, my reputation.
How do you navigate the world of like finding? So are you playing gigs for most of your income, like for most of your work at the moment?
Yeah. So full time. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you get gigs then now?
Really good question. I don't con people anymore. But you got to act as if, back yourself. So now I actually do all my bookings myself. I've worked with a few managers, but actually because of the way my diary works, and I also DJ now for Formula One, so I am flying in and out a lot of the time. So I do everything myself. Honestly, it's from, again, I know this is boring, it's networking, and it's a theme, but also I get to know. So I have residencies at Soho House, Sushi, Samba, Park Chinois, all these different places in London. But honestly, all of it is from me, either getting to know people within the company just because I'm there all the time, and like just having a genuine friendship with them, or I get recommended through various different people. So honestly, if you're good at what you do and you're a good person, you will get bookings. Like people will back you.
Yeah, and I guess you don't have to actually be as explicit with it as you were, like saying I'm the best. You can just back yourself, and the rest will come.
I don't know where that came from. That is pretty ballsy for me.
I love that. That's a great anecdote.
Anyway,
it worked. So that's the best bit.
I had to pay rent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a motivation.
Definitely. And so what are you working on kind of for the future, or have you got anything exciting coming up?
Yeah, so, well, I'm going to be flying out with Formula One really soon. So that's like a really exciting part of my year. But I'm actually also launching my own radio stream. So it's going to be called Dancefloor Anthems. So I'm going to be launching that, and I'm going to be live streaming from my Instagram and my YouTube that I've just launched. So that's my new thing. I'll be streaming weekly. So yeah, I'm excited to get back behind the mic and just being the playlist and soundtrack for everyone to bring them good vibes.
That's brilliant.
That's basically it, yeah.
And is there going to be any particular theme, or is it going to be like quite...
Yeah, so the theme is Dancefloor Anthems. So I'm all about, whenever I'm DJing, like my thing is getting the dance floor moving and grooving. But what I've learned, I love music and I love crate digging, but I also love an old school tune. And because with house music, I DJ a lot of house and disco, but I do want to get back to my roots with like R&B, pop, all those type of music. So I'm going to be kind of doing different decades, talking about different artists, kind of understanding the drive behind the music. But it's going to be Dancefloor Anthems, that all the tunes that you're going to love, that is going to make you want to go up and dance.
Great.
So, yeah.
That's really exciting.
Should be a good time.
And launching next week?
Launching in the next few weeks.
Next few weeks. Okay,
yeah, so it's coming. Yeah, watch the space, watch my Instagram.
Yeah. That's brilliant. But that is actually quite how it is for a lot of people. So
what is, sorry?
I just think like you have to get the first gig, so there's...
Yeah.
That's just how it is once you get your foot in. And
also, as well, I'd find... I've got another funny story, but I don't know if it's funny. But is this another example of like me doing something stupid? But yeah, no, it's mainly like putting myself. Yeah, right. Maybe all I do is fail. But it's what the other thing I would say is you eventually, as you kind of navigate your way through radio and your career or DJing or whatever, if you find one person who has a good reputation, is at a certain kind of level in their career, and they back you and they become your mentor, like mentorship in this is so important and so key, because your mentors will open doors for you that you won't be able to open.
Yeah, you can't do it all. That's what I was asking about community as well. Yeah, it's really important to have that balance of backing yourself, but having the right people around you, essentially.
And also like just having a really solid group of like friends as well, where you can decompress when you don't want to do anything about work, and you can just have like your moments with your mates as well. That's really important.
Yeah, all about the balance.
It is about balance. Namaste.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah, and sharing your wisdom and experience with us.
Did you just say wisdom?
Nuggets of wisdom.
Thanks so much. No, honestly, it's been a pleasure to talk about it, and thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, hope to see you back at Point Blank soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Where can we find you on social media? What's your Instagram?
Well, you know my past now, so you know I'm not shameless about it. Yeah. But you can find me on Instagram at Sarah Bo Parker, and also my YouTube at Sarah Bo Parker. Everything's Sarah Bo Parker, basically.
And we'll be watching that for the launch of your radio stream.
Dancefloor Anthems.
Dancefloor Anthems coming soon.
Yeah, that's it. Sweet.
Brilliant.
Thank you.